hear us. Hey, Elisa, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, we're having issues with the screen. We can't see anything.
And yeah, she's signing them and then putting them over there.
I made Bartek a co-host. I don't know if that had anything to do with it. I don't know if he didn't accept it. Maybe once he does that, it'll change. Can you hear me?
Oh, hi. So yeah, we can hear you. It's black, even though the controller says we're in the meeting.
Huh. I can reach out to Kyle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, that'd be great.
Do you want me to reach out? Because it might be easier.
Um,
Cut out this straw woman.
yeah, because then he might be able to walk you through whatever needs to be done.
It's not
Sure, he said.
Yeah.
She isn't. Yeah. I'm not laughing my cut on it, I'm leaving it on. Cause it's cold. If I can make it my spot. I have a lot of hair, so again, my head doesn't get cold, my neck is cold. Try turning this on and off. Okay, that's my normal.
You could do it on
Where do I
TV.
Here's the agendas, if anybody has any questions about what we're going to do.
Yes, yeah.
Two things.
I got it.
You sure?
Yeah.
I remember we all in the other evening. Oh, we might use the other?
Yeah, he won't be able to show his,
Yeah, we can use the other room, it's, there aren't that many people.
well, he can build a TV.
He's gonna view the TV. Oh, perfect.
Easier than you going all of us.
Yes.
How's snow showing, Michael?
It was fun.
Oh,
I
you
did,
did?
yeah, I did, like 4 miles on Sunday,
Wow.
all around
Yeah.
the city. I just went everywhere,
I was gonna call you, but I got a cold, so I didn't leave my house for 2 days, so I didn't go out.
And said he saw you, and I was like, did you plow the fence?
Monday I did less because DPW did such, and the Parks Department as well, did such a good job that there wasn't that many places to go.
Oh, yeah, oh my God.
I saw Junior complaining, DPW, like. Noted in all his sidewalks or all his roads.
He couldn't impacted me, he knows who I am, I would have called Ed.
But that would have been like, where else we put it, like.
Yeah,
that's-
where did they put the snow? I saw 2 tractors.
I was gonna ask that too, where does it go?
He said
Right
Sterling
there, over the river.
Street, yeah, and he said that
Where does it go?
Sterling Street, he would be getting rid of that.
Yes, oh, Sterling.
Yeah, there used to be,
Where is it?
They just wanna complain on Facebook.
Yeah, right. I know.
I thought, I
Because,
Hey, Elisa, you still there?
hey, it was, there was something.
Yeah, I'm right there.
There's,
So we're gonna, Bartek wheeled in the TV from, conference room 2.
Like on top of a file, so.
Can you invite,
Almost closed.
is it possible to invite that room? Wait, did I just, if
Hey,
not, I could just,
Somebody can-
what, never mind, Bartek's got it, because I could also just,
okay. Oh, and you're frozen. I don't know if you can hear me, but I cannot hear anything on your end.
bring in,
hey, Elisa, can you hear us now?
everything.
Alright, awesome, you guys were,
Did you sorry? No, well. One is a con. Oh, okay. No, right. Okay. So it is now, what time is it, according, 6:37 according to Gawker, and this is the Community Development and Housing Committee meeting held on Tuesday, January 27th, 2026. I am Sarah Casti, and I am the chair of this committee. And I'm happy to introduce my fellow Alder people here. We have Andrea Schaap, President of the Council. We have Michelle Hirsch, Alderman from Ward 9, Michael Tierney from Ward 2, Bob Dennison from Ward 6, Marissa Marvelli from Ward 3, right next to Ward 1, and Rick Katz from Ward 8. So thank you all for being here tonight. Hello to everybody out there who's watching this, and hello to our guests who are here. So we have 2 agenda items tonight. The first is an update from Housing Initiatives. And Bartek Starovay, our Housing Initiatives Director, is going to be sharing a presentation with us.
I have a little.
Take that sign, but you need to be video, but.
can you just plot that? Yeah, I'm putting it.
Okay, it's been a few months since we've met, so I do have some updates. Here's my little agenda. I'll get through it. So this actually on the right is an accessory dwelling unit that was approved last year on West Pierpoint Street. It is actually a garage that has been converted to be an accessory dwelling. So I want to go over the 2025 housing approval numbers and some of the trends that we've been seeing. And so first, to start off, I just want to define what I mean by approval. And so if a project has 3 or less units, it goes straight to the building department to get a permit. And so in that case, an approval means that they've received a permit from the building department. For a project over 3 units, that project would have to be approved by the planning board as a major site plan. So in that case, approval means that they have approval by the planning board. They would still need to pull the applicable permit from the building department. Any questions on that? And for 2025, the city approved 248 housing units. And that's about a 2% growth rate of our housing stock last year. And to highlight a few things, this is a pretty significant increase from 2024, actually a 416% increase. After only approving, I think, 1 or 2 accessory dwelling units in 2024, we approved 15 of them last year, which to me signals that there's some real momentum and homeowners are figuring it out, right? The ones that were intrigued by the zoning changes in 2023, but they're now pursuing the ADU permit. That being said, 3 projects make up 80% of the units approved last year, and that is 206, 208 Flatbush, which is a Kingston Housing Authority project, 615 Broadway, which is a backstory project that the city is involved in, and then finally 21 Bluestone Court. That being said, most of the projects that were approved in 25 are actually on the smaller side. So they're adding a unit or 2 to an existing property. We'll get into that in a little bit. And then I do want to caution, approved does not equal built by any means. Sometimes a project is approved and then has that approval on hand and then uses it to seek to get the financing needed to actually make the project happen. Or an ADU, right, owner gets the permit, and then when they get the construction bid, it's actually much higher than anticipated, and so they maybe delay the project or stop the project altogether. So this is what I was saying, projects approved by total project size. So on the bottom is the unit count of the project itself, and you can see that most of the projects approved are actually 1 unit additions. So this may be accessory dwelling units or a unit added to an existing property, so changing a single family home to a duplex. And this was now widely allowed, right, because of the 2023 zoning changes. So that actually makes up the majority of the projects approved. This is projects by neighborhood location. And you can see that most of the projects approved are either in Uptown or in Midtown. And excuse these rough neighborhood categories, but the roundabout, which is obviously the city's other commercial center, is really falling behind in terms of the number of projects initiated and approved, whereas we really see most of the approvals happening in Uptown and Midtown. And there may be, there are various reasons for that. One of them is obviously the roundabout is much more land constrained compared to the other neighborhoods with slopes, and there's not as many buildable lots left. And if you recall, this was one of the reasons for the city's domain action, right, which is that this property, this former urban renewal property, should be activated so that the roundabout could keep pace with what we're seeing elsewhere in the city. And then this is the same chart, but this is not projects, but the unit count. And so you can see the differences between Uptown and Midtown and the other neighborhoods. This is a trend line Now, I only started detailed tracking of housing units approved in 24 and 25. And so the prior years are approximates. You can see after declining in 2024, we rebounded significantly last year. I will say though, in contrast to 22 and 23, in those numbers, there's really like 2 or 3 projects. So there's not a lot of project diversity, right? We were mostly relying on the big projects, talking about the oil factory, for example. We were relying, and Golden Hill, right? We were relying on these big projects. We weren't really allowing the smaller projects to also happen. And so that is even though the number of housing units in 25 approved is a little bit lower than in 2022, there's a lot more projects that we have in 25, which I think the diversity of people like building housing, whether it be homeowners or smaller developers, is probably a good outcome. And then finally, this is the affordability breakdown based on 2025 approvals, regulated versus non-regulated. And most of the, what I mean by regulated is that there's something regulating the affordability of that unit. Again, because most of the regulated units that in blue, there's really only 2 projects contributing to that. And that is the KHA Penn Court project, and then also 615 Broadway are the only large projects contributing to that. Bluestone Court may contribute to that in the future. It really depends on what actually gets built there and who owns it. So that's a question mark. I think this is the last slide for this item. The significant projects currently seeking approval is residential project on Frog Alley and the former Elizabeth Manor redevelopment that the county is leading. And finally, all of this information, including housing units approved, there's a public tracker where I keep track of all that. So I'm not hiding, certainly not hiding anything. Any questions?
Oh, please, Michael.
How many, for the ADUs that have been approved, are they going through the county's ADU plus 1 program?
So actually, many of the ADU plus 1 ADUs, of which there are many in the city of Kingston, have not been permitted yet.
Oh, okay.
So I think I was actually just speaking to an architect this morning that is seeking permits. There's working on 3 homeowners in the city of Kingston for that. So I think we'll see that come through more this year. Yeah.
Oh, are you done? You reached out?
Could you give us you mentioned the Rhonda eminent domain proceedings? Would you be able to give us some?
Yes, so for the newer council members, you might have seen we started an eminent domain action to take over 3.5 acres on Aragon Drive. So at this point, we are waiting for a ruling from the appellate division up at Albany. Because the property owners would challenge the proceeding, so we are waiting for a court to decide, and we have been waiting for some time.
Thank you.
Michelle.
Thank you. Not included in this, but any update on the tiny homes?
That's what I was gonna ask. Good question. We did it again. Sorry.
Yeah,
Keep doing that.
that's mostly of Family's Court, Family Woodstock's Court, and I'm supporting them. I'm still hopeful for that project will happen. Provided, there's some things that need to happen to the sites before we can pull the permits that I'm working on right now. I can discuss further with you guys if you want more details. We have an issue because the garage on one of the properties connects to another garage. And we have to demo the garage on the property in order to do the project.
Oh.
And the property owner has been less than cooperative.
Which project?
The tiny homes, it was I was on the committee, so it was
I think you
20.
were moments were councils, I don't know.
I don't know anything about
Oh,
either.
all right, so we
Branch of the chair.
were awarded a grant. This was before COVID, it kind of overlapped into it, and, there was a committee, Jeffrey Ventura, Morel was on it, and some, public members. And the idea, I think we had $1 million and we were trying to find solutions for unhoused populations. And one of the suggestions that we had was tiny homes. It really has kind of slipped through the cracks over the years. This was before Bartek was here, so I think it went through 3 housing initiative directors. But it's been a project that we still have the money, right?
Money has been allocated for the project. Yeah, pending construction.
So-
Too many questions.
It's been frustrating for the members who were served on that committee, probably for the council members who were on it too, because we put a lot of thought into what we wanted and it's been years.
And I have a question, what were the properties that were identified as potential sites for these tiny homes?
So there's 2 very small lots on Franklin and Cedar Street.
Oh, okay.
At the city, yeah, part of the challenge is that they are so small. It presents some challenges for construction.
I see. Any other questions? Ruth?
Yeah, is that thing that's holding it up, the project? And what's holding it?
I think we have to deal with some of the site conditions before construction can happen. So one of the issues is the adjoining property.
And at first it was finding the site, so it's been a few different issues that have been holding up the projects, but.
Yes, so we do have designs that are fairly permit ready once the site's set up.
Do your figures include anything from the Kingston Land Bank or?
They do not include land bank at all, because the land bank, this doesn't count rehabs, so so rehabbing of the property that was vacant to being occupied, it doesn't account for that. So I think, they've done a few rehabs this year. Again, for these numbers, they are doing some new construction this year, so those numbers, for most projects, will be included.
And Kingston Land Bank is giving their update at our caucus on Monday, so you can get some more information from them.
Are any of the ADUs using the competition plans?
Yeah, I think there is one actually it is actually under construction on Delaware Avenue. They did pour the foundation before the snow. It's by the entrance to the Kingston Business Park. And they made some modifications to the design, but they will be good. Yeah. And then there's another property, there's at least one other property owner that wants to build it, but kind of the construction costs have been challenging, unfortunately.
Any other questions? Okay,
Okay, so that's 2025.
okay.
I want to talk about 25 Field Court briefly. It's now City of Kingston property. I think what's important to understand is that this property, which is right in the middle of Midtown, has been abandoned for a really long time. And actually, some previous corporation councils basically insisted that the city does not touch the property because of how contaminated it is and worry about liability issues. So for a long time, the property owner obviously walked away, but then, the city also in a way took away from the property. Which brings me to today. And so we issued a request for expressions of interest to find a redevelopment partner for the site. We did acquire the site in 2024. After acquiring this site, but prior to releasing the RFEI, we actually entered into a settlement agreement with New York State and New York DEC that would clear the city of all liabilities related to the pollutants on the site. What that agreement also did is that it also cleared all future owners of the site, also from any liability. So without that, without being able to negotiate that, I don't think anyone would have any interest in the site because of its status in the eyes of New York State. So we had a few objectives, one of which was environmental remediation, obviously. We wanted higher density mixed income residential. Also, the site has potential for ground floor commercial because it's located on the linear trail. We needed to somewhat think about how to meet the parking needs of the site. And we also have an ongoing project called Midtown Thriving, which sets certain objectives for redeveloping vacant sites in Midtown. So we also wanted to align ourselves with those planning efforts. So the council did participate in the evaluation process. Michael, thank you for your service. And we selected a team called Affordable Housing Conservancy, Fulcrum Development, and Sisters of Charity Housing Development Corporation. So two of these organizations are nonprofits, and they have proposed the park line with approximately 100 units. This is just an initial conceptual rendering of what the project could look like. And a lot of my time has gone into this project since I've been with the city, especially working with the DEC to clear some of the liability, the cloud of liability around the site. So I'm really happy with the team that has been selected, and I've been pretty impressed with them so far. Any questions on 25?
So you're gonna you're gonna remediate it as part of this project.
Yeah, so
Do we know what the problem was?
yeah, so there's all kinds of vapors moving around the site, probably from some prior industrial uses on the site that involved, oil or car rehab or something like that. So it's PCB and TCB primarily that's floating around in the water vapor underneath. There's also polluting some of the adjacent properties as well. It seems to be floating around Midtown.
Yep.
Can you share the response to the RFP with us?
Yep.
Thank you. Yeah, I was wondering, since the city but especially future developers are cleared of liability, how are future developers incentivized to fully clean it up?
Yeah, so
And how is that
yeah.
scrutinized?
As part of the settlement agreement, the cleanup is to be done under the supervision of the DEC. So they'll be closely involved to do action.
We're getting grant money for that, right? For to help cover that or
However,
remediation? No. Oh.
so this team is going to have to find their own financing to cover the project costs. However, the brownfield cleanup program, part of the state does provide some tax credits to incentivize cleanup. And so I imagine that they would put this into the brownfield cleanup program to take advantage of some of those state incentives.
Okay. So what are the next steps?
Yeah, so we have a MOU with the developers, which basically states that they'll be working towards the development of the site. And that, we can't advertise the site to other prospective developers. And so they are already working on pre-development. So looking at, studying the site some more, figuring out what to do with the current building on the site, which has some major structural issues. And then, working towards financing strategy and also eventually planning board approval. So they are in the driver's seat on that and moving quite quickly, I should say.
Good, that's good, thank you.
No other questions? Continue.
Okay, so my third agenda item. I've been speaking to some of you about a proceeding that we have under that we've done under New York State law. It's called Article 19A. And this is our way for the city to take over abandoned properties. And so we have previously never used this power. Most municipalities don't use it, to be honest with you. But we started proceedings against 5 properties, 3 of which are pictured right here. And we have finished those proceedings. We received the last order early last week. And so the properties are on Hunter Street, Court Street, Lucas Avenue, and then the 2 not pictured here. One is on Boulevard, and then the other one is on Westchester. So now that we have judgments, I'm thinking about obviously the next steps. And that is governed by something called what we have it's called a disposition policy to the newer members, which governs how we sell surface property like this. For these properties, it's actually the land bank that has the first right to purchase the properties, so long as the back tax amount is less than $120,000. If it is over that amount, then the city would presumably do an auction it based on the disposition policy. So based on that 120 threshold, 3 of these properties will be offered to the land bank, and the other 2 will likely be auctioned. And the properties offered to the land bank, it's going to be Hunter Street, Court Street, and Boulevard. The Lucas Avenue property, as well as the Westchester property, will be auctioned.
And we're going to auction first.
Based on those figures, Lucas doesn't qualify.
And when will the auction be? When you'll be notified?
Yeah, I haven't scheduled it.
You'll send out a press release and then, okay.
Probably in the spring.
Okay,
So aren't we supposed to, if they're not gonna go to land bank, go potentially do an RFP?
Potentially, we could do that as well.
Okay.
The reasoning behind the 120 number is right, we're trying to find a balance, obviously, between keeping the lights on, right, and meeting some of the affordability goals that we. So for me, that was, let's auction some of these properties off, the ones that don't meet the threshold, and in a way that is subsidizing the city's transfer of the other properties to the land bank. Right, so that was the thinking there. But obviously we haven't announced an auction. Oh yeah, this is
Right.
this is the first time this is.
yes.
What makes the properties good candidates for this program?
So I looked at I tried to find the worst of the worst. Because this was a kind of a novel effort, so I tried to focus the city's efforts on properties that have been empty for a long time. So yeah, worst of the worst.
So there's an inventory of more behind these.
Yes, there is potentially more.
So I'm sorry, I didn't hear that, what was
There's
it?
an inventory behind these, there's more to come,
Oh,
than these 5.
Yeah, and I should say the reason why Lucas Avenue property, I had thought that we would be able to operate to the land bank, but there was actually a large levy the council passed. I think it was last December for this property, and so that pushed it over its threshold. Set also.
Any other question, Ruth?
Can you ask about a specific property, 78, Abiel? 78 Abiel. I think it has a big 78 on the door, painted on the door of the house. No, it's,
I can look up the property.
yeah, it's a kind of kitty corner from the, what used to be the Forsyth B&B.
Okay.
Yeah, it had a big 78 painted on it, so I thought that was
Okay,
it.
I'll take a look.
Okay, thank you.
The auction doesn't preclude the land bank ending up with the property.
No, so it is not.
That won't be proved there. Right. We've had occasions where they have ended up with the property despite, or as well as.
Yeah.
You go back.
Oh, sorry. How widely is the auction advertised and how do people find out about auctions?
I mean, I do my best with the city's, outlets, social media, newsletter. There's certain things we need to do by New York State law, like publishing the notice at certain times in the newspaper. So,
And if there are any, so they do know about, are there any special requirements? It's just somebody has to have the money for it, or it's just like the best, it's literally the best offer?
We also include timelines, we include, it's not just you just buy it and walk away. And the old days they used to do that, it didn't work well.
Yeah.
We now have time, you have to perform by time, you have to have a certain amount of money, there's whole,
Cash mortgage, whatever.
right, there's thresholds you have to meet, or we take it back.
Yeah.
Which is what happened in Grand Street.
right, yeah, I mean, we typically don't do order agreements because they're hard to enforce.
Discouraged. Right.
Properties, but, yeah, it's different from those other ones, yeah, but. I think if, Michael just showed Sunday Franklin, there are building permits on that property. And there is work happening inside when I walk by.
It's a historic tax credit budget. It's in the historic tax credit budget on Beale Street. It is. I went in there last week.
Oh, nice. Let me ask them about happening. Okay.
Yeah, I know where the money's from.
Yeah.
Can you send disposition policy to the council? I tried to find it and there's so many versions that I don't want to mess up and send the wrong version. Thank you.
And I just have one question. If there are several abandoned buildings sort of around my ward, and people are asking, well, what happens to that? If somebody we can just call you, or constituents can just call you and say, what's the status of this abandoned building?
I mean,
No, please go ahead.
I just look at the inventory and it's all that there are houses in my ward that are not on that list that are abandoned. And I guess, what's the threshold, how do you define abandoned?
It's in the city code for making it abandoned, and so the building department is in charge of registering vacant buildings. Were you referencing the list that's online?
Say that again?
Are you referencing the list that's online of vacant properties?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the building department would be the right department to take that up, making sure that certain properties are on their radar.
Michael.
Maybe this is a better question for Steve, but could you explain what the different kinds of red squares mean? There's ones with one line in it, there's one with the two lines in it, there's one that's just a square.
Bad.
I mean, it all means bad, but
I'm not the right one.
Okay.
Okay, any questions on, so obviously, this is just concluded, last week. We have announced an auction, I did offer the 3 properties, for sure that the land bank qualifies for, I did offer them to the land bank already as of today. And they have 90 days, to let us know if they are proceeding with the purchase. Obviously, any sales, contingent on the council's approval, that goes for the auction and, so.
Any questions? Come out of these. The 3 off.
They're pretty bad. But the land bank
I know,
is, but anyone,
yeah,
anyone can do it.
right, they can do it, yeah. I know.
Okay, any other questions?
Okay,
Okay, next.
okay, so lastly, I know that you'll be considering a resolution tonight for respect to Stony Road. I just wanted to come and provide my perspective on this. But happy to have a discussion, so I'm just gonna go through a few slides, sort of how I see this from my perspective. Right, so we have a regulatory agreement with Stony Run that was approved by the council in 2023. And that clearly created tenancies which are governed by the regulatory agreement, as well as the corresponding affordability plan. Okay, so that's very clear. And the legislation approving the agreement also made it very clear that so long as the city has a declared housing emergency, existing tenants shall have this vested right in the protections that ETPA provides. However, as we know, the property owners submitted to the Division of Homes and Community Renewal to take their property out of TPA. Even though, right, and there's also the city's regulatory agreement that we have with the property owner, which clearly restricts the rents in the property. That being said, the order completely ignores the fact that the city of Kingston has a regulatory agreement with this property. In addition, the city had no chance to provide any additional materials or clarification with respect to the regulatory agreement. In their order, the order even said that the agreement does not provide a formula for the calculation of rents or a period to limit the rent increase that the owner can demand in the original lease, right? Which is not correct, right? It clearly does, clearly has an affordability component as part of it. The administrator also made no attempt to explain how the regulatory agreement it actually applies to the accommodation at Stony One. My feeling is that by completely ignoring the city's regulatory agreement, and as stated in the petition, that this could hamstring our efforts in support of other affordable initiatives and our ability to enter into future regulatory agreements. Obviously, we're not contemplating any regulatory agreements right now, right? But who knows? I do think that the ruling sets a bad precedent by ignoring the regulatory agreement and not even including the city in some of the discussions about how the regulatory agreement applies. So the argument that was made in the petition is that we clearly do have standing. The New York DHCR allowed Stony One to present the regulatory status of the complex, even though we don't share the same view, right? Clearly, we don't necessarily believe that DHCR lacks the jurisdiction to enforce ETPA rights, as was plainly stated in the legislation. In addition, as stated, the order misunderstood the key components of the regulatory agreement itself. This is my kind of point of view of the petition, right, and why it's important, right, to preserve local control and our ability to make regulatory agreements. Obviously, perhaps DHCR could take this feedback into account and still rule the same way that they did, right? But they did not do that. We were completely ignored, right? By this regulatory agreement that was passed and approved by the Common Council. Yes.
As to be absolutely clear, the administrator is a state employee.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. This is my final slide. So I think the real intent here behind the regulatory agreement was also to protect distressed buildings. We certainly want to prevent any bankruptcy sale of distressed buildings, because we know that such a sale would hurt rent-stabilized tenants. Down in New York City, right, Mondani tried to do something very similar by trying to stop the bankruptcy sale of rent-stabilized units by Pinnacle Group. That action was not successful, but it was one of the first housing actions of his new administration. So I think the intent behind the regulatory agreement is to make sure that this building complex does not fall into the distress. That's all I have. Happy to take any questions.
I guess, could you just explain a little bit, just for people who are watching, just how a bankruptcy sale really is harmful to tenants? Like, what's the process of a bankruptcy sale if that were to happen?
Well, down in New York City, these rent-stabilized units were in very poor condition. And in a bankruptcy sale, essentially an auction, there's no guarantee that the new owners have the capital to actually address those issues in a way that is important to ensure that the tenants have quality housing conditions.
Michelle?
Wouldn't the city be able to, would we be able to take the buildings into receivership? In their provision?
I've never been involved with that, perhaps. I don't know.
Yeah, it's written in the law. I don't know how it works
Yeah, I'm
exactly.
not sure how it works.
But that is.
I don't know, would we want to do that? I'm not sure.
Well,
Do you have capacity to do that? I don't need those questions.
So the way that I read the rent administrator's order was that we couldn't have regulatory agreements with ETPA buildings. It didn't seem like it would stop regulatory agreements with other kinds of buildings. And I just don't see that. I'm fine with that. I don't think we should be having regulatory agreements with buildings that are already regulated through ETPA. So I just don't understand that. Well, I just don't think it's the issue that the administration is making it out to be.
Any other questions?
Aren't we also just in the filing asking them to just approve ETP, the request by the building owner?
Not necessarily. We don't say that the THCR cannot regulate the ETPA units on the property, right? We don't say that. But what we do say is that the new tenancies by the regulatory agreement are technically governed by the affordability, right, matrix within the agreement itself.
And
But we don't necessarily say that they can't be involved with the ETPA units.
right, I thought that it said in there, the filing, that it said like requesting that they just approve Paper's request. So,
Aren't we just trying to get standing?
No,
That's part of it.
that's part of it, but
Okay.
then if that is if
If we
the
can
court
stand.
says they're standing and they're gonna look at the merits. So you can't not consider the merits,
Right. Okay.
sorry.
Right, you're right. That's it.
Okay, well, if there are no more questions, I guess, thank you, Bartek, for your report. You gave us a lot of information. That's excellent, and nice to hear the vacant properties are actually going to be able to be developed in some way or another. I know my neighbors on Lucas Avenue have been asking me about this like almost every other month, like, when is that going to be available for sale? So anyway, thank you for that. And I guess we can go on to the second agenda item, which is the resolution that we have in front of, that was sent around in front of us. The request to discontinue the city of Kingston's lawsuit against New York State. So who would like to, do people have questions? I assume that everybody's had a chance to read it. I'll take any thoughts that people wish to offer. Any questions?
There need to be 2 corrections. So can I go over those?
Yes.
Okay, so the third from the bottom, whereas it doesn't legally state it doesn't correctly state what legally is happening. So it needs to read seeking reversal of the city FAR denial and a declaration and crossing off the rest of that sentence. And I think the third from the last whereas.
Maybe you should start off with what it is, because it may not be the same on yours. Well, there are some additions here that may have changed it from what's on the website in terms of the paragraph.
It's December 29th, but I think it's something.
That's not the same.
He's looking at
Like that.
Yeah, sure.
So maybe you could just state at the beginning, whereas
December.
Whereas on December 30, 2025.
that's on December 30. Well, okay, this
Yeah,
one.
so it is the same. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, the third from the bottom of the rear. Okay,
Yeah.
good. Okay.
Sorry, I'm used to reading this, so that, thank you for making me clarify. So everybody on the whereas, okay.
Okay.
To cross off the last and compelling DHCR, it needs to say seeking reversal of the city FAR denial and a declaration that the regulatory agreement between the city and Stony Run owners exempts Stony Run from the ETPA. I could write this down for you. But
Okay, that was
that
great.
didn't properly, it wasn't correct, so that needs to be fixed. And then the other little thing in section 5, because my name is only mentioned once, you don't need to put council president in parentheses, unless you want to mention me again. No? No.
Yeah, you can take it.
Mine brings up. Can I make it on, change on your copy?
So which, do you want to use this one?
Clean one.
Oh, the clean one, okay. You can make the change there. Okay.
So I feel like we should just, like, discuss what we're actually doing.
Yes.
Yeah, like,
So the people who are watching
Yeah.
can hear, yes.
so back in June, the council passed a resolution asking DHCR to deny Stony Run's owner's request to, be removed from ETPA. So that was passed unanimously out of the council. And, the mayor did not veto the resolution, but he also didn't sign it. But by not signing it, our charter puts it, it becomes, the standing or position of the city. So we feel that this, Article 78 is in contradiction to what we passed in our position.
And essentially, all of these clauses provide the story of how we got from the beginning to where we are now, correct?
Yes.
Makes the case.
And my one suggestion would just be to remove the word contradictory from from the title, because it hasn't, just from the very title of the resolution, because we don't yet know that it's contradictory. So when we see the title, that can be confusing for people. We could just say city's lawsuit against New York State.
Makes sense.
I'm not hearing any other questions or discussion.
Then we have any concern, anyone have any questions in the part brought up? Or, and like, Sarah said, you all read this, so. Yeah.
Yes, Ruth.
Would you want to say who it went to in New York State instead of just New York State?
It's in the body.
It's it's
Yeah,
on those.
I mean,
Right.
I don't know if that's needed in the title.
No, it's not.
And do we want to look at just what, the now therefore, the sections under that, everyone is clear about what we're asking for? Okay. So I guess, do I have a motion that we should approve this resolution?
Yeah.
With the amendments?
We just read a community report. You just say, do you want me to read?
I would love to have you write the committee report, since you volunteered.
I don't need to.
But where did I put it with all these papers? Here it is. There you go. And I should,
I'm sorry, can I say one other thing?
of course.
Mike is on this committee.
And I was just going to say, see, we also have a Kleinfeld. I was going to say that the reason that Marissa is here
Are you subbing?
is she is somebody that will be voting on behalf of.
Okay, alright. I just want to make sure that was,
He is, right,
And by the way, anyone corrected at the beginning with that,
right, because you are not officially on the committee, but you are officially on the council, so you are allowed to sub for people. who are not here.
come anyway.
Okay. Okay, so we have this. Where's the other? It's got too many pages here.
I'll make that.
You have the first page of this? Where is this? 14th. Okay, so this is the first page. So, Shannon, should I cross out Copper City here? Yep. I got that.
Can I see that?
Yes.
Just 6 on here. The meeting could help it, is that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, you can because if another thing. Okay, so this is the. This will be attached to it, yeah. Okay. Okay, so shall I read this first and then ask for discussion?
Ask for a motion.
Motion, second, and then, okay, thank you. This is my first chairing of the meeting, so I'm trying to get all the steps in order. Okay, so we have before us a resolution that says, a resolution of the Common Council requesting the mayor to discontinue the lawsuit assigned index number 738596/2025, in parentheses C attached. Motion. Motion? Motion, okay, motion by Michelle.
Second.
You just put the initials MH.
Okay, and then seconded by MT. Okay, thank you. So, any discussion?
Yeah, I'm happy that we're moving forward to reassert our position. There's information on one of the sections, section 6, is asking for a complete list of, lawsuits and things that we have worked on since 2022 that's been filed by the city, just so that we make sure that we have not had any other contradictory.
Oh, I'm glad you're bringing that up, because it also talks about lawsuits may also be coming before us too, so that this essentially would keep us informed
Yes.
about what lawsuits the city is moving forward with. Okay. Just one last question, Anna, do we need to say, it says see attached, we want to note somehow that there are with changes?
No, that one's pretty clear. I could also send a clean copy. Do you want me to do that?
Oh, okay. Do you want to do that, or I think, if you think that we won't miss, yes.
Send it to Lisa.
Yeah, Lisa,
Elisa?
I'll send, well, I'll just
Here.
say. I'm gonna say, there's some notes on this, so I'll just to make life easier for you, I'm gonna send a clean copy.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Sorry, yep.
Okay, excellent. So we have before us a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? Not seeing any, I will ask for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and anyone opposed? Okay. The resolution passes.
Yes.
What? Unanimously. So everyone. You want to write your name below for my list. You're not welcome. Oh, you I really want me to word. I was talking to Marissa.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Yeah, like I said,
Are the names at the beginning harder than you?
The names are harder, right? It's like all of a sudden, it's like, I know Marissa, and all of a sudden it's like, is that Marissa or Melissa? It's like, all of a sudden I couldn't remember, but even though I know you.
So where it says Mike, I'm just gonna cross.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right, yours. You can call for motion to adjourn.
Okay, would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
All right,
Second.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Elisa.
All right, thank you.
You can move this.
I think I just checked these meetings in the other room next week, so